It is me and Matt. Everyone's been asking, or at least that's what I'm telling him, and I'm telling myself to come on and do a little bit of a video. This one's going to be very on kind of topic. We're going to talk about lockdown training, what you can be doing at home to get the most out of the time you have to train, what you should be doing with your diet, what you should potentially be doing with your cycle, just everything we kind of discuss around lockdowns and the effect they have on bodybuilding, basically.
With the strict time limit.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Matt, because I'd forgot about the strict time. We've got a half-an-hour time limit, which seems like not a long time, but it's actually a really long time to just go through all this stuff. So, yeah, I think first thing we want to start with, Matt, I'm getting my notes because we're not professionals at this yet. I just want to go through diet first, mate. Let's just talk about, if we're getting locked down now, first thing that's going to happen is obviously calorie expenditure is going to drop. What's the plan with the diet?
Well, I think, obviously, the biggest worry for most people is like a lack of progress during this time. And probably for most around this time, people are not dieting, they are looking to build muscle, which is why that fear probably comes in, because their current plan or goal will be halted. Unless you've got access to a gym or a very, very good setup at home. Even thinking that you're going to be doing enough to stimulate muscle growth is probably not that wise. So I know for pretty much all of my clients this time, and even last time, I just recommended that you can still make progress, but just change the direction.
Yeah.
So either we're going to pull calories down and just take a little bit of body fat off, and then once this lockdown's over, you can set yourself up for another phase of growing. I think there's never a bad time to diet, really. If you can take 4 weeks of fat loss now, then that might be 4 weeks extra you get before you have to start prep in 4 or 5 months' time. So it will probably just balance itself out somewhere along the line. There's a lot of people that have maybe competed and absolutely hammered themselves for months. Perfect time just to maybe have a rest, take a week off, chill out, and then do some bits at home. But I would probably be looking to pull calories down and just tighten things up, lose a bit of fat, even just a recomp. But it might even just be a chance to give the digestive system a bit of a break, because everyone's sort of ramming food in all the time. And it's also a very nice period to diet just before Christmas, because it's all going back on anyway. You might as well at least make some room for the festive period. So that's what I recommend to my clients, rather than sulk. Just change the focus, and pull some food down.
I've had a little sulk now, because I was, like you said, probably resonate with a lot of people. Winter's coming. We all want this big fat bulk. Probably a lot of us got a decent way into progress. I know I did, because obviously the gyms had just opened. We'd started everything going again. Just as things were getting nice, we have this. So I had a little whinge, but you're totally right, mate. And I think that is the best piece of advice, to not look at what the problem is, but look at what you can do. I mean, it is a nice chance to pull body fat off. There is never a bad time for it. There's times that are less fun than others, but I myself and my clients, I said to you, is like you just said, mate, we're going to be kidding ourselves if we think we're going to be able to get pumped up enough to get into the garage and train like we are in a gym. We may as well just look at what we can control, take the body fat down, look at rehab movements, give your digestive system a break. I think it's a nice time, really. The only thing you could secure any progress in would be body fat. And I definitely think that's a wise point. I think everybody should really, depending on how long the lockdown lasts, should be looking at just pulling body fat off and getting good at some of the things they didn't give themselves a chance to.
Yeah, and I think in the last lockdown, I spoke to people, and it probably ties in with the last podcast that we did. It's a time to learn how to make weight heavy. Right? You ain't got a lot of stuff at home. It's a very nice time to almost reteach yourself contractions and focus and a few different things that you can maybe go on to develop when you get back in the gym. I spoke to loads of people that were like dead excited about that, and then they went straight back into the gym after the last lockdown. It just all got fucked off. Like I think you can always be learning. To try and fuck yourself up in like the shortest amount of time possible with minimal rest. But I've given some pretty basic plans to people that have got just a barbell and some weights. And it's almost like barbell complex type stuff.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
moving through, but then just like doing circuits through. And they're messaging me like they're fucked. Like they're aching for days. Like you're doing some new stuff, but that low rest period means that towards the end of the session, you'll end up failing. It's at least enough to maintain muscle, and maintaining muscle is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like as long as you can take body parts to failure, there should be no panic of, oh, it's all just going to go, like all my muscles going to go, which is what some people think. Like just doing some press ups, like it'll help. There's a lot of things you can do, but I think just people should just not be afraid and sort of maybe embrace it. And we can, like I say, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So just try some new things out and see what you got at home. And even if you're going to struggle, I would probably struggle myself to train at home. So it might be sometimes to just try something new or just a different endeavour. But the focus can still be health and fitness. Like on the last lockdown, I started running. It was a bad idea because I fucked my knees up.
I didn't hear about this one.
Not many people did. But yeah, I started. Like I used to do a lot of sprinting when I was younger. So I went to the park and I was sprinting. Like that fucks you up. Like
it's like that's like Kevin Brown, 1990. Didn't he race? Who did he race?
Was it Maurice? Did he Maurice Green? Or one of them? It was one of the
Olympic athlete, didn't he? In 100 meters.
Yeah.
You're running.
But I mean, even like the last time I did that 5K challenge, everyone went a bit different. Like everyone was so bored that they started just like there's a few things you can play around with, but you're still focusing on a specific goal that's going to help you. As long as you don't lose sight of the bigger picture, I think there's many different paths you can take. But the one you don't take is just, oh, this is fucking shit. And then you sit home on the sofa. And then when you come out of lockdown, you're just full of regret.
Yeah.
Because you've regressed so much, and that is on you. You can't blame it. You can't blame Boris or anyone like that. We're still in control. We might not have the freedom that we can go to the gym, but we still control what we put in our mouths, and we can still control our activity levels. So there's no excuse for just tossing it off. And I won't have that anyone.
I was going to ask you why you said a good point, because we get onto so many good points really quick. The muscle loss kind of thing. I mean, only in my personal experience, because I created a gym and it all messed up, but I had quite a bad time. I don't think I trained properly for 6 to 7 months in 2019. And I think the only reason I was able to do that was because the muscle loss wasn't even that bad. Like I was maybe doing 1-2 sessions a week max for all the shit. And I looked at it at the end and went, obviously I'd lost about a bit of weight, maybe 8-9 pounds of muscle. But I was like, this isn't really a bad deal. Do you know what I mean? People forget, if you put 8 years into your body, building mass and making these adaptations, it isn't just going to give it away. You know, especially when a lot of it's been achieved over a long period of time. I mean, 4 weeks really. I've seen people chucking studies around saying 3 weeks of inactivity can cause muscle loss. But I honestly believe like 4 weeks isn't going to do a thing. Like you said, mate, barbell complexes, stuff by Pavel Tsatsoulis. I was doing just before, for an example, I have an incline bench and a calf machine. I was doing supersets. I was going incline bench, 2 plates aside, 20 reps, calf machine, fail, and just repeat 10 times. And stuff like that, like you're never going to lose an inch of muscle. You might not build any, but, you know, and you're taking a new angle of workouts, right?
I think people don't realise how hard it is to lose muscle. Like even if you set out to try and lose it, you would literally have to probably starve yourself and not go to the gym for a long time. Strength, I think strength does regress pretty quick.
Yeah.
But again, I think it'll come back again, but I think that's a lot of neural sort of activity as well, and just not doing those actual movements. But who cares about strength, right?
Well, we don't care about that, do we?
But I mean, look at the pros when they finish. Like they like Jay Cutler. He halved his food, and he went to the gym a little bit, and he can't drop the weight. He still like walks around like 240, 250. He says, "I'm trying to lose muscle, but I can't." Like so many pros, unless they literally just stop, and you see as soon as they train again, it comes back. This thing like a muscle cell. Once a muscle cell's been created, it will never go anywhere. It's there forever.
Yeah.
So even if you did nothing, you're probably going to feel a little bit flatter just through lack of putting blood into a muscle if you actually are inactive. But it'll all be back within 2 weeks. Right?
The stress is not warranted, is it, mate? Like you said, the muscle cell point's good because like it's obviously the same as fat cells. Once you produce a fat cell, that fat cell never goes away. Like if you've been, I don't know, 40 stone, you're gonna have the same amount of fat cells at 12 stone as you did at 40. That stuff doesn't go away. Your body makes these changes and it doesn't make them easily. So when it does make them, they last. So I think the muscle loss arguments is a bit of a waste of time, isn't it, really? I don't think it leads on to the next point, but I don't think that's a problem, mate. I mean, if we go into cycles and then say, okay, well, if you cut your cycle for lockdown, which is what we can speak about now, yes, you'll experience muscle loss, but that's just part and parcel of the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you wouldn't, even if you're probably going to feel a bit flatter. You'll have a little less water retention in the muscle cell. But like I say, once that nucleus within the cell's created, that's there for life. That ain't going anywhere. So as long as you're still feeding that tissue, you're not going to lose anything. But yeah, like if you're not, it's a perfect opportunity as well to rest from drugs.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have access to good enough equipment to be nailed at 100%, take the time just 4 weeks break from something that's toxic going into the body. It'll help a little bit further down the line. There's no point in staying on like a gram or 2 gram of gear if you're doing circuits in your back garden. But again, we all know that everyone is it's that whole self-image thing. People are terrified of coming off drugs at any point of the year because they'll walk around, oh God, I'm small. This is why they're totally in fear of lockdowns because, my t-shirt's a little bit loose on my arms because and they panic and they start to, all the scales drop a bit because they've pull a bit of food out because they don't need that much food right now. And I think they just struggle to come to terms with anything like that and think that everyone's going to think they're small. This whole body dysmorphia thing is not going to lend itself well to people on a lockdown. And we know lockdown affects people mentally, and body dysmorphia is a very real mental issue.
Oh, mate, we can do a podcast about that. And I just said the P word, but we can do a podcast about that because that's interesting.
So I think this is where people struggle with things like that. Not going to the gym, they instantly think, "Oh, that's it. I'm going to lose 4 stone. All my training I've ever done has gone to waste." Right? But it's very difficult, and that's why they'll justify staying on gear for it. Like they'll try and make up the lack of training, and so they can't go to the gym. Think, well, if I just stay on the gear, then it might balance it out a little bit.
Like you said, mate, you can put yourself so much further ahead by taking that 4-week break. Like I was just starting a cycle myself 3 weeks in, just starting even ramping things the right way. And I'm like, I'm disappointed, of course I am. But like you just said, we're not doing cycles to maintain how we look. We're using them to push further and to go against new goals. So there's just no reason why you'd be doing a gram of Trembolone and 30 mega D-bol to do weights and push-ups in your garden. Do you know what I mean? Because okay, at best case, it maintains all your mass, but you're just going to wasted 6 to 8 weeks on highly toxic substances to be the same when you could have maybe took a little step back, used them things in the right places, and like we said, drop the body fat and then use them things in the right places come New Year, and boom, you're in world's better position. Because if you haven't got the kit, let's face it, your only option is maintain and potentially lose body fat. There is no option here for bulking in your garden.
I say that you've got to progress, but find the ways you can progress it.
Yeah.
If you've been if in that 4 weeks you can pull sort of, I don't know, 6 to 10 pounds of fat off,
Brilliant.
then you're in a great position to go again once we open. You're going to be leaner, you'll look bigger, you're probably hormonally in a better position to grow again.
Yeah.
Like, fix any issues that bodybuilders, like, we're all insulin in, like, insensitive and all that. Fix any issues that are going to set you up. Like, sometimes, I mean, I have lots of clients who are in a maintaining phase and they're so bored. But during a maintenance phase, you're setting up the following phase to be even more successful. You're not just there spinning your wheels. There is actually a purpose to doing things. Like, maintaining doesn't just mean I'm not going anywhere. It means we're doing particular things to be able to maximize the next phase. So, like I say, people just got to look at the bigger picture sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, cycles.
Forget this 4 weeks and think, right, if I do this, this is what I can do in 6 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. But,
I mean, like you said, mate, the perfect battle plan there is come off everything toxic, get into some higher volume stuff. Like you said, practice your movements. I literally thought about what you said today. I had 60 kilo on the incline, and I thought what Matt said about Milo Sarchev racing to fail. And I thought that's just such an interesting prospect, just to try that at home and really understand where these kind of sensations are coming from that you're talking about when we spoke about last week, you know, that effective rep. You know, what sensation is that? Is that the muscle failure? There's just so much experimental stuff you can do. But you're totally right, mate, and it does take a perspective shift, because if you don't take that perspective shift, you are in a state of, well, I was bulking and now I can't, so fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Instead of just going, well, let's drop the food a little bit, let's get walking a bit more, let's try some new movements, let's do some circuits, my muscle will be fine, and I'll be healthy, ready to go, and take one step back, 2 steps forward kind of attitude.
Yeah. People just got to, like I say, just try not to panic and just don't see this as, well, that's it.
Yeah.
There's decent ways that you can react to the situation. It is a shit situation. And like I say, it's very easy for me to sit here and say it. Like, I own a gym, so I get to go and train every day. Like, lockdown hits me financially, but it doesn't stop my training. Like, I couldn't imagine not being allowed to train. So it just turned into an expensive gym membership. But
Well, that's what I'm forgetting, because I know how expensive these things can be. People wouldn't want to pay.
but I'm very fortunate that I can go to the gym and train. But the last lockdown, I didn't. Like, for the first 6 weeks, and that's when because I was just about to jump back on cycle on the last lockdown, and I stayed off. And that's what I credit a lot of this season's success to, was that extended period of being on TRT. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from that lockdown. So the blueprint for this year is going to be very similar. I take a much more extended period off of a lot of drugs, which is something I'd never done in the past. And as soon as I went back on, I reacted and responded to drugs like I never have done.
It's an interesting. So I did TRT for almost a few months, mate, and I was coming back to a similar point, and I do feel you're right. Whether it's the chemical side, whether it's the fact that your body is responding and it's actively more uptaking ingredients and whatever else, I don't know, but there's definitely something there in that. And I mean, you won an overall, do you know what I mean? It's not like your year's been, you've been whinging about it and you've had 6 weeks off. You took 6 weeks off and won overalls in bodybuilding shows, do you know what I mean? Yeah,
so I think there's, no matter how experienced you are, there's always lessons to be learned in situations, and that's what you got to look out for. Try and learn something new in this 4 weeks, and about your training that can serve you somewhere down the line. Right?
Yeah,
that's it. There's no point in sitting at home and sulking and not doing anything. And there's plenty of horrible, nasty movements you can do that don't even require a lot of weight. I used to, for someone like me who loves training and loves writing sadistic training plans and doing stuff, I love this kind of stuff. When now I'm writing plans for clients, fucking hell, this is horrible. and and it's either they've got like a kettlebell or they've got nothing, and it's a bit of fun. Like,
Yeah.
try and find something in the situation to enjoy. That still trying to fuck people up.
Someone once told me, he said, if you love training and you're good at it, and you know what you're doing, you could have just as good a workout with 2 buckets and a mop handle. Do you know what I mean? You could do something like that. So how about this, Matt? Obviously, to finish, so we keep our timer going. Let's just go through now some of the stuff you might be giving to people, some of the little circuits or movements, and then we'll discuss a bit of movements to finish off. Give people some inspiration to get out in the garden and smoke it.
I think we'll start. I mean, I put on Instagram the other day. I think for quads, an old school sissy squat and Bulgarian split squats.
Wow.
Like if you start like a leg session or a lower body session or whatever, because I would probably condense a split into like upper and lower, because you can't do a chest session, right? And I would probably train like either full body or upper lower, like day on day off. I think if you start with like Bulgarian split squats, they're gonna pre-fatigue you for anything. And if you did 5 or 6 sets to failure on each leg with 30 to 60 seconds rest, like that will hurt.
Even body weight, like Bulgarian split squats, to this day, I did them on Smith machine maybe 3 years ago, and I still, in fact, I worked at Asda when I did it. So when I was 17, I couldn't walk. It's worst DOMs I ever had, mate. Smith machine Bulgarians, absolutely ruthless. Even body weight, ruthless exercise.
Yeah, I think body even like
20 reps body weight, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bulgarian split squats, sissy squats, they're 2 killers.
Old school sissy squats, like I mean, I do them in a gym. Like I choose to use them as a proper exercise, not a. So
I would agree with Bulgarians for sure. I don't do many sissy squats yet.
Then obviously you got press ups, the old favourite. Like even press ups. But I think it's just about keeping rest time down. If you just literally like, you don't need to warm up. Like we all used to like just do press ups to failure in PE. Like there's no danger. But even if you can do 100 press ups first go, have 30 seconds rest and go again, like you're probably getting 20, and then maybe take 60 seconds rest, and before you know it, you could have hit 5 or 6 sets to failure. Your chest will be absolutely blown up.
Yeah, you're not losing muscle off that kind of stimulus, that kind of usage. That's going to be enough to just protect muscle tissue. You know what I mean? And you get a nice pump. You know what I mean? And while you're losing body fat, you look great.
I mean, and there's always stuff around the house. You don't need equipment like all the new shitty science to do with bodybuilding, like so many angles and so many pieces of kit. Like at the end of the day, weight's weight. Get yourself a backpack or a bag for life. Like chuck tins of beans and shit. Like you don't have to know the weight of it. Like you can throw anything in a bag, and
it's good.
Like row it. You tried it with side lateral raises with it, like an Asda carrier bag. It's so unstable. It's horrible.
I did it on YouTube, mate. I was wrecked. Take a bottle of water out of it because I had 6-litre bottles of water, tap water, in the Asda bag for life. I take one out to my drop set. I was just whipping bottles of water out and carrying on. It was ruthless.
That's what I mean. You pour half a bottle out, another drop set. Just keep emptying it out. I mean, the only difficult thing is maybe back exercises. Like if you can't do chins, but you can do inverted rows. Like hang off your dining table. Like plenty of stuff. You can buy a chin-up bar that goes in your doorway for 10 quid.
Like, somewhere to do chins in their house, surely.
Yeah, just don't do it hanging off your wardrobe if you're big.
Yeah, or your door. I was about to say, I hope no really big people are watching this and try an inverted row on the dinner table, like, because it's going to end badly. But, mate, back is the hardest one. Obviously, you're missing deadlifts, you're missing big rows. But chins are like, for me, if you can just do chins, that's almost enough. And, you can change the angles on a few of them. It's almost enough.
Yeah, these people are getting massive in prison cells. Like,
yeah,
they ain't got anything. But even if you got a bit of rope and hang it around someone, you can do like you don't need to spend 200 quid on a TRX or whatever. Like,
yeah,
there's enough. There's at least one exercise, one very effective exercise you can do for body part, and even if you have to do 12 sets of it to failure, like,
very good point.
It don't matter, like, it's gonna. Like, you don't need necessarily all these different angles to just maintain muscle.
Well, we believe training to an extent is overcomplicated anyway. Like I've never really bought into ridiculous amounts of angles. This is another topic, but like you said, mate, sometimes just attacking the muscle is enough. And I think the thing I'm going to try and learn from it, pair our conversation, is that rest period thing. I want to try and get used to the pacing of hitting things quicker. And then obviously as I come back into the gym, because I tried it with back and I enjoyed it, but it was different for me. But just keep the rest down and get the volume in on these different variation movements. Like you said, Bulgarian split squats for legs. That should be in people's legs programs anyway. You know, chins should be in your program anyway. I would say dips for chest. Surely you can find 2 chairs to dip on. That's one of my favorite movements for chest of all time. So, you know, like you said, mate, you're very right. If you can just do one good movement with no pieces of equipment in a circuit fashion, you'll be okay. Like a giant set, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I sort of prescribe it. It's like either you can do one exercise and like do a load of sets with no rest, or you can literally run through them all, and then just have a minute's rest and go again. Run through it 5 or 6 times. I mean, you don't even have to necessarily. If you just want to burn some calories, like we know it's just activity. You can just do like old school like the aerobics, like that your mum used to do, like in the 90s and the 80s, like. As long as you're moving, like you can be burning calories, and obviously the bigger guys and the bodybuilders want to do stuff to maintain muscle, and there's plenty there. Like, we've all got. If you sat at home furloughed, go for some walks. Like, enjoy the like.
I think that's the big reason, really, isn't it? Like people aren't locked down, and you still got your job. A lot of people are locked down with more time than ever. So you've got these opportunities here, just asking you to say, lose some fat, you know, get out and move and try some new movements and try and be positive, because it's very easy to just cry because we can't go in the gym and do big lifts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, 2nd of December, we're back out.
I pray.
I think we will be.
And this is the vaccine. I was like yesterday, I was like, I'm happy there's a vaccine. Don't care. You put it in me, whatever, but just open the gyms, open the country. I don't care. Get it in both belts. But
yeah, just pop it in with this Trent.
Yeah, I was about to say on my post it, but I was like, we can't really be complaining.
Yeah, like, I'm not putting that in my body. I don't know where that's been.
If you went to me, I promise you, if you went, Tyler, put this in your shoulder, I'd go, all right, mate, go on. No problem. Don't know where it's from. I go, yeah, sweet.
Halfway through, what is it?
I feel weird. But yeah, man, it's been good chat. And I think if we get another lockdown, which I pray we don't, I don't think we will, we'll do another video and maybe even just prescribe some plans, just give some ideas, because it's nice to just give some ideas out, because you're very right. And we've probably been doing similar things. Just there's movements for every single body part that are actually really advanced and actually really good. Bulgarian split squats, when I used to give that to people when we were doing group training, a lot of people actually can't do them and balance well enough when they first do them. So it's actually really nice to even take that skill on board. It'd be nice to be able to get Bulgarian split squats in a position where when you get back to the gym, you can load them. You know, it's a nice time to learn.
Have you seen how John Meadows does his? Because that's how I do mine.
I don't know.
You only use a dumbbell in like one hand, and then use your other hand. You sort of take the balance out of it. So if you go within like in a squat rack or whatever, you just sort of guide yourself. But he does a drop set, so he'll have like 3 dumbbells, or he might have 2 dumbbells and then body weight. So you go with failure, and then when you can't come up anymore, sit in the hole for 10 seconds, drop the dumbbell, go again, drop the dumbbell, then body weight until you can't go again, and then sit in the hole. Honestly, like the pain in the glutes, and just it feels like you've been shot in the ass cheek.
I want to get on a podcast and talk about this for my own. I might even just ring you. Forget the people. I just want to know about. I'd love to train like that, but I haven't got the lungs, man. Like I really need to work on it, because I'd vomit, and I have a big issue with that. Like I would just vomit. So if you did that to me, first set, vomit.
Well, I think there's a video. The video's on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure it's Evan Centopani he's putting through, and Evan throws up in a bin.
Does he?
Yeah, he's sick halfway through. So I was like, I'm trying then. Like it's.
Do you be sick a lot? Have you been sick a lot in your training?
yeah, like I used to always be sick on leg day, but I don't know. Since I've owned Muscle Flex, I've never been sick.
Oh, really?
Like I literally every leg session, like in my old gym, I was sick every leg session. So I don't know whether it's just because it's a bit more open and the air. But I mean, I've been close a few times the past few weeks. We trained the other day. Carl had the bin by the hack squat. He was ready to go like mid-set. But yeah, I haven't been sick in over a year. But it used to be literally every leg session.
Mate, I was
There's actually,
thermometer.
I think there's a video, I've actually got a video of it because we did some filming for the Train by JP website, and we did legs at my gym, and the videographer literally got like, I mean, it was projectile. And I have got that video somewhere of me just throwing up everywhere. Like,
I used to do it all the time. Drop sets, I used to do it on like, and I think, and this might sound weird, I'm a bit scared of it now, so it's ruining me training. I think I just need to come and do legs with you, vomit, get it out of my system, and then be all right.
yeah, like when we feel sick, we just say, go put your fingers down your throat, get it out, and crack on. There's no point in hanging around for 2 exercises feeling sick. Like once you feel it, get rid of it, and then just go again.
Attitude, man, and that's probably why you don't be sick, because you're so accepting of it. Your body's like, what's the fucking point? He doesn't even care. Like, it's not going to stop him training, because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to stop your training. It's not going to stop him.
But I do think I think it's the change in training whilst I'm not sick now. Like obviously it used to be less obvious. Like you're sick because of the buildup of hydrogen ions in the bloodstream. That's obviously acts as a poison. So I think when the volume's higher, I think your body gets very, very good at buffering hydrogen ions. Like, so this is why I think sometimes if you've had a long time off and then you go and hit a really intense session, you're sick because the build of hydrogen ions, your body isn't used to dealing with that. Whereas when you do higher volume and less rest, I think all the lactic acid and your body gets really good at flushing it out. So I actually think your body becomes more efficient at dealing with the toxins. So you're not sick. Because it's normally if you're doing like if you resting and waiting and waiting and waiting, then you just do one all out horrible set. That's normally the one you're sick after.
That's what gets me. Like I would never be sick with big rest periods. That's why I take big rest periods. But I remember I put it on my Instagram the other day. I did 4-plate back squat for 12, 3 plates. I can't even remember how many I got. I failed. 2 plates I failed. 1 plate I failed. Just straight in, right out the body.
But it's fun anyway. It's hardcore. It's cool to be sick.
Oh, mate. Yeah, it is quite cool, and especially if it's in the middle of the gym with a bin. I think you just don't be sick because it's your gym now. And you're like, I'm off and clean that up.
My gym in the last one, no, it was in the car park. We always used to just make jokes like that car park's been christened by everyone. If you haven't been sick in that car park, you don't train hard enough.
I'll never forget Dorian Yates. And who did he have? Chris Cormier vomiting in the back door of the alley in Birmingham. He must have took a breath in him and like, fucking weird. I remember being sick in a proper old school toilet, mate. And then, you take that first breath after you vomited and you just suck it all in. And you're just like, fucking go again. Oh, brilliant. All right, mate. Well, we've been about 30, 35 minutes there.
Yeah, we've done all right there. We didn't go
I'm pleased because I would love to get us back on. Man, there's so much stuff to talk about. But definitely, I want to pick your brain on training. I know we spoke about training in a sense, but talk about some other things in relation to training and talk about the sick stuff. That's fun, man. I like it.
Go.
Yeah. Hopefully that's been helpful. Me and Matt, again, I don't know about you, Matt, but I've got a list of things people actually want us to talk about. But we'll play hard to get.
Yeah, I'm always free for a natter.
Yeah, that's it, mate, and me.